when... Hello, dog.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, the NBA Finals existing to the New York Knicks, my beloved 2025 NBA Cup champion New York Knicks, being in it. It's Adam Amawala. Adam, how's it going?
What a time to be alive. What a time to be in New York City. Just happy for you. Happy for you and
thank you.
The many other friends that I have who are filled with joy and glee in this moment.
Yes, a lot of people feeling very passionately about it. I am amongst them. It is wild. It doesn't feel real. It's come across in such a weird way with like the sweeps and stuff out of nowhere. We've had multiple times where we've gone over a week without basketball, so it doesn't feel real. And then the games come and the anticipation builds, and it's just ridiculous. I don't believe it when I am talking about it, but it's here and it's real. And not only are we here, but there's it's conceivable that we win. We are still the underdogs, but it is not like what it was thought to be before the playoffs, where it was like, whoever wins the Western Conference Finals wins. Now it's like we could actually really do it.
And I think what's interesting about that is the consensus coming into the playoffs, and I'm sure I said this myself, was like, it's just a sweepstakes to see who gets crushed by the Thunder. And the Thunder are not in the finals. So
they are not.
The Spurs have arrived perhaps earlier than people anticipated. The Knicks are looking great. It's going to be a great finals.
Should be good. Let's prep to talk about it by going to the Teal Memorial locker room, which is just always a nice place to be. Vibes are electric, just like the vibes are in New York City right now. Good vibes all around.
Absolutely. Although teal, kind of more of a Spurs color. Hate to say it.
Yes. Well, you know, we love being an underdog here.
Sure.
We love when no one believes in us. You know who does believe in us, though?
I would say our patrons, and we even have a new patron, so thank you so much.
Yeah, shout out to our newest patron, Nellie Bell. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to all of our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry, teaming up with Giannis.
Bang. That's kind of the speculation now that clearly the Knicks are not going after him. I don't know if it would work, but we'll see.
Look, we'll see what happens. I am delighted to be out of the Giannis sweepstakes,
Agreed.
Given all of the reporting that has come out about how bad of vibes he's been. I think the vibes have fueled the Knicks. We cannot introduce bad vibes. But continuing on, Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby as Vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, who you might be hearing from soon, Balls to the Walls, Mats Furley, Utah Jash, and Derry Bird. Now, you know who else supports us? Kind of like believing in us.
I would say it's our sponsor for this episode, Tab for a Cause.
Tab for a Cause. If you want to raise money for charity, it's super easy. If you use Tab for a Cause, you go to tab4acause.org/horse, and then you install it into your browser with a couple of clicks. And then every time you open a tab, you help raise money for charity. There might be some ads that show up in the corner of your little homepage thing, but those raise money, and then you get to choose what charities get supported. It's really cool. I've been using it for years. It's good stuff. So check them out, tab4acause.org/horse. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, we get access to episodes without inserted ads. It's time for locally inserted ads, but once they're complete, we'll get back into this episode. But if you're listening on Patreon, we're going to just keep it rolling. Adam, what do you got going on?
I've got a couple of new things to report. I think I mentioned this one last time, but the next headlining date that I have coming up is a show at the DC Improv in Washington, D.C. That is on Wednesday, July 29th. I just confirmed some shows in Montreal, so I will be in Montreal the weekend of August 14th and 15th. And then I added a date in Philly, so I'll be back in Philadelphia at Next in Line Comedy Club. That will be on Saturday, November 7th. I'm still working on locking in the Atlanta dates and certainly some other stuff as well, including possibly a return to Bozeman, Montana. So I will keep everybody posted on that, but that's all I've got for now. What about you?
I've got the 3 shows that you can get right now at thenewsolympian.com/live. That's Brooklyn, New York on August 15th. And then the Boston, Massachusetts show, technically in Somerville, on September 20th. And then the Philadelphia show on September 27th. The New York show, the second act of it is just going to be improv comedy. So you do not have to know anything about the Percy Jackson universe. The first act will be like classic podcast stuff. And then the second, we're just going to do some goofy improv stuff, loosely inspired by Percy Jackson. And by that, I mean we'll be asking the crowd for fun stories about camp. So really, you do not need to know Percy Jackson stuff. So if you are not the newest Olympian guy, but you want to see me and some very talented improvisers having fun, come through to Brooklyn for that show. And then the other two shows are going to be really fun as well. So yeah, thenewsolympian.com/live for tickets to those shows.
Sweet.
Yeah. Now, in lieu of an NB Q&A this episode, I do want to share a piece of mail that I got from some listeners that is basketball related.
Cool.
So this is from Michael and Courtney from Sydney. So they wrote a letter and it says, "Sup nerds," and then nerds is crossed out and it says Mike. It's fan mail. We often collect these for nieces and nephews. So basically there's this thing in Australia at a grocery store called Woolworths where they give out free Legos, like little tiny Legos. If you buy like a certain amount, like every $10, you get a pack. So we talked about that. And then they sent us like a bunch of extras, them saying, "We often collect these for nieces and nephews as we do our shopping across the promotional period and had way too many this year. You said at the TNO live show in Sydney that the little one has been enjoying them, so we thought we would send them your way. Thank you for all your podcasts from Potterless to TNO to meddling adults to horse and everything in between." And then P.S. I've added a Sydney Kings sticker as well, because for the love of God, do not become a Brisbane Bullets fan. When I was in Brisbane doing my show, I saw lots of stuff in Brisbane for the Brisbane Bullets. I went by the team store and some murals and stuff like that. This is a basketball team called the Brisbane Bullets. So I asked the people like, "Oh, what's the deal with the Bullets? It seems pretty cool. Like your logo's fun, whatever." And I've learned they are just like the laughing stock of the league that they're in. Is it the NBL, I believe? And they're just really bad, much like the Washington Wizards, formerly the Washington Bullets. So everyone's like, we've been bad forever. There was a point in time where the team just like disbanded and didn't exist, and then they came back and then they were still bad.
Well, maybe if they change their names to the Brisbane Wizards, they'll just be bad with a different name.
The Brizzy Wizzies.
The Brizzy Wizzies.
Great. But they have the sticker, and if you're listening, you won't be able to see this, but their colors are purple and gold. So they say here, I know Lakers colors with the Kings name. It's not ideal, but we did win this championship again for the third time in 5 years. So yay, winning. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's got the little NBL member. I think that's kind of like when you're an official supporter / season ticket holder.
Kind of similar font to like the Sacramento Kings.
It is truly like a combination of the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers, but it's a very cool sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for all of the free little bricks, the Legos, and then also the Kings sticker.
Yeah,
that's our kind of NB Q&A because we have a lot to discuss in this episode, most of which won't be part of Full Court Press Get It Like the News because it's the finals preview, and that is the news. That's the big news. Are there other things we want to talk about before we get into the finals preview?
Yeah, I mean, you're always more keyed in than I am. Are there any major WNBA storylines in terms of injuries, teams doing unexpectedly well, unexpectedly poorly? It seems like the Portland Fire continue to be really fun. I'm seeing like tons and tons of content from those games, and it's not as if they just like sold out the first game and then everyone went back to their lives and was like, we don't care anymore. Like the crowd seems spectacular. It does seem like everything's going well. I've seen a little bit of discourse around there being some unrest in Indiana where things are just like not going great. There's been seemingly a little tension between Caitlin Clark and their coach, but I think a lot of that is just kind of overblown and people trying to take an excerpt of a video where it looks like people are frustrated and turn it into something more than what it is. But how are your Storm doing? What's going on in the W? I know you're kind of in NBA mode with the Knicks, but
yeah. So the big thing is that currently overall in the league, the Lynx are playing quite well. The Aces are looking solid too. The Liberty are being a little disappointing. They're 5-4 right now, but people would expect them to be a little bit better. Like you said, Portland Fire have been really fun. They're 6-4. They're playing well. The Wings recently upgraded AZ Fudd to being a starter, so that's fun. My Storm are just like fun and young. So Awa Pham, our number 3 draft pick, she finally came over. She had won the championship with her team in Spain and wasn't here for the beginning of the season. So she's over here now, which is fun. Flaujae has been really fun. Like we're not necessarily winning a lot of games, but that's okay. We're 3-6, but we like have this fun young direction. It's going all right, and I'm perfectly fine with us being bad this year, so we can get good draft pick situations going on. But like the building blocks are there, so we're a fun bad team. It's exactly where you want to be. But there's just like a lot of parity in the league going on, so I think you just kind of have to wait for things to shake out and could make interesting times when the playoffs come around. There have been some fun like on the court stuff. There's been a little bit of trash talk that did involve Caitlin Clark and Tiffany Hayes from the Golden State Valkyries, where they played 2 games back to back almost. Like they played one in Golden State and one in Indiana, like pretty close within each other. And there's trash talk at both. There was something where Tiffany was guarding Caitlin Clark and Caitlin made a shot and she talks smack at Tiffany. So we've had some fun trash talk stuff going on. But yeah, I've not been 100% locked in because of the Knicks playoffs going on. I will lock in more when the finals are over. But it's been fun. It's been cool to see the 2 new teams do well. Like the Toronto Tempo are playing well. So it's just been kind of fun. It's like a very even situation right now. And we'll just kind of see how things go.
Yeah, and to anybody who has not been tuned in to the NBA, or the MenBA as we call it, the Knicks swept again. They defeated the Cavaliers. The Spurs-Thunder series went to 7 games, with the Spurs winning in impressive fashion on the road in Oklahoma City, which of course has lined up a Spurs-Knicks 1999 NBA Finals rematch 27 years later, and that is going to be the bulk of what we're talking about. So I think without further ado, shall we get into it?
Yeah, one little ado. I do have a note. My wife, Kelly, attended a Liberty game in person.
Cool.
Was able to go to the Liberty versus Fire game in which the Fire won.
Nice.
And Kelly had a great time. Loved seeing Ellie the Elephant. Sue Bird was doing broadcasting stuff and was very close. A shout out to my friend Jeffrey Craner, who gave us the tickets. We tried to get a babysitter and we just couldn't. So Kelly ended up going to the game with one of her friends. I stayed home. The Knicks happened to have a game that Monday. That was game 4. So that was fun. You know, at least I got to watch that. But Kelly had a blast, and she was seated pretty close to Sue Bird, which was fun. Apparently, when Sue walked out, it was down the aisle where Kelly's seat was, and there was a young girl like a row ahead of Kelly, and she asked Sue to take a picture, and Sue did, and it was apparently really cute. So Kelly knew I loved Sue, and she was like, oh, she was like really great with that kid, and made me really gain respect for her, so that was fun. And then Kelly's favorite player is Maureen Johannes, the French player on the Liberty. She plays with a lot of style, and she'll shoot one-legged three-pointers and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She did this really cool behind-the-head pass to Jonquel Jones, I think, down under for a layup. Just someone was under the basket and she was dribbling like away from the basket and then did a 2-handed behind the head, over the head pass, just like right in the pocket for an easy layup. And Kelly was like, that was so cool. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. So she had a really good time. So that was fun. And I look forward to hopefully a future where me, Kelly, and our daughter go to Liberty games together, which would be really fun. Obviously, anytime the Storm come to town, that would be a blast.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we already kind of teased who our Spurs guest is going to be for our NBA Finals preview. We have not done the same with our Knicks guests, but I have a feeling that some of you are going to be pretty excited. We kind of pulled out the stops for this one because this is a big deal coming up. So without further ado, it is time for our annual NBA Finals preview. Here it is. Alrighty, folks. As promised, we've got our NBA Finals preview. We, of course, have wrangled both a Spurs representative and a Knicks representative. This is a big one, so we pulled out all the stops representing the Spurs. It would have been a true disservice if we did not feature our very own producer-level patron, Ginger Spurs Boy, a.k.a. Matthew Moreland. Matthew, welcome to the pod. It's an honor to have you. How you feeling? Cloud 9, I think, doesn't even begin to describe it. Is that correct?
I'm feeling good. Happy to be here, along with not the horse boys, the horsemen, because let's face it, we're not boys at this point anymore.
No. We're horsemen. At least one of us a headless horseman because he's just lost his marbles over the success of his beloved team. But with that in mind, it is time to introduce our Knicks fan, our Knicks representative for this podcast. Now, obviously, we had a lot of choices. All right, there are a lot of high profile Knicks fans. As someone in the outer circles of the entertainment business, obviously, I had to make a couple calls. This was a pretty big get, but we are very excited. He completely cleared his schedule for this last minute. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce our Knicks representative, and I want to make sure I'm saying this properly. Is it Mikel Schubert?
It's just Mike Schubert. How's it going, everybody? I am so excited to be our guest representative. A situation I don't know that I ever would have believed I had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, so you and I first started doing this together in 2020. And at that time, I don't think either of us really had any expectation that we would ever get to be the person in the NBA Finals preview episode.
No, I think, and I'd have to look back at my text messages, our text messages in general, but definitely this offseason when there were the things lining up like the injuries to star players on the East, like I definitely started saying, there is a path. Like if there ever was a path in recent history, like this is the year. And I didn't want to jinx it, obviously, but we are here. It has happened. We have reached the finals. Everything broke right. I was worried throughout the entire regular season because we had this team where it was just like on paper, we should be good. Like everything should make sense. And then the whole season, it just didn't really happen. And then in the beginning of the playoffs, it didn't happen. And then we went down 2-1 to the Hawks and it was like, actually, what if we were the theoretical Knicks? And we've just been the theoretical Knicks ever since. And it doesn't feel real because it was so sudden.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. We're recording this on Monday, June 1st, so we're a couple days before the first game of the NBA Finals. The Knicks did not lose a game in May, which is just an absurd thing. No matter what happens in the finals, they will have gone at least, it's got to be like close to 40 days between losses, if they ever lose again, which at this point they might not. They might win the next 4. They might go 82-0 next year and win every playoff game. Who can say at this point? They have not lost since Karl Anthony Towns hung out with Anne Hathaway in Devil Wears Prada 2, which I saw last night, by the way. Good movie. But let's get into it. So this is a very exciting one. I would say that neither Mike nor I feel committed enough to this podcast to promise that we will do it for long enough that I get to be part of a finals preview, because we just don't know what 30 years from now looks like. Mike might have grandchildren by the time the Bulls are in the finals again. All right, so Matthew, let's start with you. Obviously, we know you as Ginger Spurs boy. We know you as a diehard Spurs fan, but talk a little bit about your origin as a Spurs fan, some of your highs and lows throughout that experience. What made you the Spurs fan that you are today?
So we're going to go into Ginger Spurs Boy's origins,
yes, of course,
the least anticipated Marvel movie in all of Marvel history. So I got into the Spurs in, I want to say the late 90s. I must have been, maybe 6 or 7. I found out that there was this basketball player named David Robinson and that he was 7 feet tall. And it just blew my mind because I'd never heard of anybody that tall before. And I found out.
Remember when that seemed tall?
Yeah.
Right? Now it's like, oh, yeah, like half the league's 7 foot. It's nothing. It's like how if you were 6 feet, you were really tall. And now you have certain young, shallow people going, oh, it's not tall enough. We need 6'5", but we don't want to risk anything resembling the manosphere. But yeah, it's wild. So I had heard about David Robinson, and I got taken to my first Spurs game by my Aunt Kirsten, and it was amazing. It was when they were still playing at the Alamo Dome. So they built where the Spurs play now was built in the early 2000s. But before that, they played at the Alamo Dome, which still exists. They use it for like college football. There's the football reference for the show.
There we go.
Womp, womp.
Womp, 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 womp. So went to the first Spurs game when I was not even 10 years old. And then I remember my first Spurs NBA Finals. And I wasn't able to watch any of the games because we didn't have a television. We didn't get a TV until I was like 14. I grew up on books. But I remember seeing signs saying Spurs rule, Knicks drool, and thinking, oh, this is a big deal. Also, who are the Knicks? I know who the Knicks are now, obviously.
That's such a 90s ass insult.
It's really good.
Honestly, with this rematch, let's bring it back.
Bring everything back. They
bring
had
it all back.
Clips going around social media of like what the game 1 intro looked like, what it was like for the first MSG game on NBC Sports.
Yeah.
Just like the combining of the telecast with what was on the Jumbotron, like the graphics look wild. Oh, just bring it all back, except for the final result. I think we should, just for diversity, I think we should flip the final result. I would love Knicks and no, let's make it even. Let's just go Knicks and 4 to keep it simple.
See, I love you, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm gonna say Spurs and 4. See, I was talking to my cousin about this the other day, and he pointed out that if the Spurs win it all, we could actually save New York City from potential rioting. Because when we win, we don't riot. What we do is we just go downtown and honk a bunch. That's it.
The thing with New York is like, I don't know, we don't like riot in the Philly sense or the Boston sense. That being said, we haven't won, like the Liberty won and everyone was chill about it in terms of like partying, but it wasn't absurd. But I have not been in New York City since there's been one of the major New York sports teams winning. Mm-hmm. I think the most recent one besides the Liberty and the Gotham, the women's soccer team, is the Giants in 2012, the football Giants.
Don't forget about NYCFC. Got to give some love to the
right.
MLS
I did forget about them. Yep. Sorry. I forget that men's soccer exists, honestly. I love my ladies, and I couldn't care less about men's soccer. Like the World Cup is going on. I'm like, yeah, the men's World Cup. I don't care. But yeah, there's been no like riot potential since I've moved here. But I feel like there will be people in the streets, but I don't think we're going to like light stuff on fire if we win. I don't know. Maybe I'm misjudged.
I think it'll be pretty ridiculous. I'm hopeful that if the Knicks don't win, there will not be the like, hey, we're angry and we're going to
I don't think there
burn
would
stuff. But I mean, just from getting to the finals and even the earlier rounds, you do see people like trying to climb on top of the marquee at MSG or at like, the light posts or like, I don't say this to be bleak, but like people probably will die at some point during this finals run because of doing stupid shit.
There's people in critical condition from the Spurs Game 6 Western Conference Finals win. Like there was a kid who was like riding on the roof or the trunk of a car or something and fell out and hit his head. Like
that is true. We do have. I say we. I don't live in San Antonio anymore, but we do have notoriously bad drivers that makes you wish you had some sort of special James Bond vehicle, or at least something where you have where you got two big arms to come out the top of your vehicle, pick up the cars, and move them out of your way, so you can just get where you're going without anybody getting hurt. Maybe some Bruce Almighty powers of splitting the traffic.
Oh yeah,
it would be nice.
Be good. Yeah. So maybe I'm naive, but I'm hoping that like there will be chaos in the streets if we win, but I hope it doesn't lead into like property damage and lighting things on fire. Yeah. I think the worst is like what you're describing, people climbing on things they should not climb on top of.
So obviously, Matthew, I mean, your kind of first memories are around the Knicks being in the finals in the late 90s. Then you get to live a very blessed life of seeing your team win multiple times. Like not dissimilar for me. Obviously, I was younger, but getting to see the Bulls be really good when I was a kid, it does kind of spoil you the same way that, let's get our baseball reference in, Mike growing up with the Yankees, like you just kind of expect them to win all the time, right? Now, Mike, do you even remember the 99 finals? I mean, you were old enough to like be aware of them, but were you really like watching them at all? Was your dad really into
didn't. Yeah. So the problem is that my dad is an enormous Yankees fan. Like watches every single game that the Yankees play and have since as long as I can remember. So once we were in the World Series in the late 90s, even though I was born in 92, so like that first one, I'm 4. Like I just remember being locked in to those all the time and, staying up as late as I could to watch them, running to the TV the next morning to see on SportsCenter if we won, all that kind of stuff. But as far as Knicks fandom, I feel like when I was younger, it was just kind of like this, we root for the Knicks as a family, but like I don't recall the first Knicks game I went to. We went to a couple of basketball games like when I was growing up, the New Jersey Nets were still there, and I lived in central Jersey, so it was close enough to Philly where I definitely remember going to a Nets game or two. I definitely remember going to a Sixers game, but it was usually like when we got tickets. Mm-hmm. I will have to double check with Joel, but like I think we went to one Knicks Nets game in New Jersey. I think that was probably my first Knicks game. And I remember growing up even like not being sure which team to root for. Like knowing my dad and my family was Knicks fans, but I was such a like New Jersey truther. I just love New Jersey, especially when I moved to Texas and it became kind of like my personality. But I always kind of like supported the Knicks, but was not like super locked in. Now I played a ton of basketball. My dad played all the basketball. We played all the time. But like as far as like observing it as a fan, it wasn't that strong. But I remember like when it was the Latrell Sprewell's Knicks, like the early 2000s Knicks, I definitely started following that. Me and my buddy Josh were big into that. But to my knowledge, that was all like past the finals. I don't remember the 99 finals being a thing, but I definitely remember the Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston era of the Knicks. So
yeah, it's funny. I think you and I both have that in common where like if you move to a different state, especially a different part of the country, but you're maintaining your allegiances, it almost strengthens it because then it becomes part of your identity where like you just were the guy in the Houston area who's a huge Yankees fan and Knicks fan. And similarly, like I'm the guy out in the Northeast being like, no, I love the Cubs. I'm not going to just start rooting for the Mets or the Yankees. So it's interesting how that works now. Obviously, Matthew, you're not in the San Antonio area anymore, but you're still as much of a Spurs fan as ever. So I think let's get into the prognosticating a little bit. Now, this is always tough because Mike has consistently been Knicks in 4 the whole way, and it seemed ridiculous at the beginning of every series, and it seems a little less ridiculous now. So I guess let's start with that. Let's get both of your predictions for who wins the series and in how many games. Are you sticking with your prediction, Mike?
Yeah, I mean Knicks in 4. It's just this thing of like. As a fan of the team, I just think it's absurd when people. I understand if you work for a sports journalism site or whatever, and technically this podcast, I guess, is sports journalism, but like not really. I understand when you try to make the prediction if you're Zach Lowe or Bill Simmons or whoever, and you're trying to be correct. But I'm a fan primarily. So I don't want to be like, yeah, I think my team's going to lose twice. Sure. Like, that's just so weird. Yeah, no, we're winning all 4 games, Knicks in 4. And I agree. Like, at first it was like, ha, 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 Knicks in 4. And now it's like, actually?
Yeah.
So why not just keep saying it? And I'm also incredibly superstitious. So ever since I've been saying Knicks in 4, we have not lost. So I'm just going to keep saying Knicks in 4. And that would be ideal for me because then that means we would win the championship in New York City. And it would be at MSG because the first 2 games are in San Antonio, the second 2 are in New York, and then it goes 1-1-1. So that would be very cool. So
Matthew, Spurs in 4?
I'm saying Spurs in 4. See,
love it.
See now, if Mike's saying Knicks in 4 and I'm saying Spurs in 4, the Jinxes are gone. Like the Jinxes are canceled out.
Right.
So if anything, if I hear anybody say that their team is going to win in 4 or win in 3, depending on what the sport is, and I've got nothing against that team, I'll just counter and say the exact opposite and I'll be the jinx crusher.
The balance.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because to both you and the Thunder representative that would have been on if the Thunder had won, I was very specific when I messaged both of you to say, let it be known that I have also sent the same message to a fan of the other team. So any potential, because like for me, if the Cubs were up, I don't know, 3-2 in a series, and then someone's like, hey, can you do our podcast about the World Series? I'd be like, don't even talk to me about that right now because we're not there yet. But knowing that there was an offsetting jinx in play, I think was helpful. So, all right, we've got a Spurs in 4 and a Knicks in 4. I guess as the somewhat neutral party. Here's the thing: when we went into the playoffs, my prediction was Celtics Thunder. I think that was probably not an uncommon
consensus,
prediction. So I'm wrong twice. I'm at the point where intellectually I still do see the Spurs as a superior team, but just like vibes and momentum wise, I really believe in this Knicks team. So I think I'm at a point where like my head is saying Spurs in 6 and my heart is saying Knicks in 4 because why not just keep being completely unexpectedly brilliant, which they have been. So I'm picking the Knicks, and it's not an unbiased pick. I at this point I'm very much rooting for them and rooting for you, Mike, to be happy. Not that I don't want you to be happy, Matthew, but you've already frankly had enough happiness, and I think it's time to spread it around a little bit.
Here's my pitch. I know we usually do this in terms of the like why should you root for your team,
right,
and all of that. The thing is, and we saw this against the Thunder in a beautiful Western Conference Final Series where games 1 and 7 were all-timers and the middle games were not as fun. But I think what we've seen all season, the Spurs were like, oh, this will kind of be like their first real run. They'll probably not make the finals, but this will be like their great like first experience. Harper's a rookie. Wemby's only 22. Castle's in his second year. Like all these guys are young. They'll get their experience. It'll be like the Thunder when they made it too early, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But then as the playoffs went on, it was like, oh, wait, the Spurs are already really good. Mm-hmm. And they beat the Thunder, which I don't think a lot of people would have predicted definitely at the beginning of the year. But as it got closer, maybe even the same. And now by the end of the series, it's like, uh-oh, are the Spurs already better than the Thunder?
Right.
And this whole thing was like this going into the season. It was like the Thunder won last year. They're probably going to win this year. And then the Spurs are going to like overtake them at some point, and then they'll be the dominant team. And now it's like, uh-oh, are the Spurs already here? Whereas the Knicks, we're in a situation where everything is broken right for us this season, from the beginning of the season with people getting injured and stuff, to the playoffs where the Pistons got knocked off before we had to face them. The Celtics got knocked off before we had to face them. So we had, quote unquote, an easier path to get here, but that's just the playoffs. Stuff happens. So everything's broken right for us. Aside from this new Mitchell Robinson broken pinky injury, which is very unfortunate because I think he does match up very well against Wemby, so that really sucks. Aside from that, like we've had really good injury luck and everything's kind of worked out well there. If you look though at the future trajectory, especially given how good Wemby is now and he's only 22, like the Spurs with these three young dudes are just going to be incredible for as long as they can keep these people together. The Knicks, it's like everything's worked well this year. We might not be good starting next year. So my big pitch is like, let us have this one, guys, and then you can have the rest of the 2020s and 2030s.
Well, exactly. And I think it's to make another baseball reference, it makes me feel a little bit like the Blue Jays and the Dodgers last year, where it's like the Blue Jays, of course, listen, they've spent a lot of money and they're trying to win again this year, but it really felt like that was their moment to win it. And the Dodgers, you just expect to be there 5 more times in the next 10 years. So it feels kind of like that now, where barring any major injuries, and I certainly hope this does not happen, Wemby will win multiple championships in his career. I would be very surprised if he does not. It just seems impossible that he wouldn't. Whereas this Knicks team, like, yeah, sure, they could get back next year and have a good run, but the odds of everything breaking the same way and giving them this path where not only can they get there, but they have so much more rest than the team that they're playing. That to me is the equalizer. Is like, does the Knicks just, rest throughout the playoffs and the momentum that they have cancel out the fact that I do think the Spurs are a more talented team, probably. So we'll see. It's Wemby is he's scary. I saw a very funny tweet from a Knicks account that was like, "I'm not afraid of Wemby. We already conquered peak CJ McCollum."
I saw like a meme or a tweet or something that pointed out that Pope Leo is a Knicks fan.
Villanova alum. Yeah, because he's a Villanova alum.
But the Spurs have the Salesian sisters.
I know that wasn't. Right. I didn't like. I did. I think it's great. I appreciate it. I think it's hilarious. But it was like, yeah, we got the Pope blessing, and then the Spurs are like, we have fun nuns, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. So it's basically we're going into and not to impose any religion on anybody, because I'm very much not very religious, but we're going into the biblical finals, and
David and Goliath.
Exactly. And at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to converting to Catholicism.
Sure. If it means another championship, you have to be at least open to it. Now, I think we've already, Mike, and to some extent I have given the case for, hey, if you're a basketball fan, or you're new to basketball, or you're listening to this because you like us and you don't really even care that much about the NBA, who should I root for? I think the consensus is that the Knicks are kind of the easier team to root for just because it's been so long since they've even gotten there, let alone won.
53 years
Yes.
since we've won, 27
right.
years since we've made it to the finals.
Yes.
We've
So,
just been such a laughingstock for so long.
My expectation is that if you see a map of the country, it's going to be largely people rooting for the Knicks, with the exception of Texas and maybe a couple other states where they're like, we just hate the Knicks because we're
Texas
Celtics
might
fans.
even root Knicks just by the other cities
Not wanting the Spurs to
disliking
win. Yeah.
the Spurs
Yeah.
so much. And it's purely a jealousy dislike.
Sure.
From my 10 years living in Texas, nobody hates San Antonio. Like, I've lived in Houston. My sister lives in Dallas. No one has any problems with San Antonio because San Antonio is lovely. The food is fantastic. The Riverwalk is great. The rodeo is fun. The Spurs games are very fun to attend. San Antonio is phenomenal.
It's mostly great.
No one dislikes it.
Just don't go to the west side.
Sure, I would call that not San Antonio.
But all to say, Matthew, to somebody listening who has no vested interest in this series at all, what case can you make for, hey, you should root for the Spurs for this one?
So first of all, Wemby is extremely personable. The man will go play chess in Central Park with anybody that shows up. He's a big reader, so if you're a fantasy nerd, like you're going to, especially if you love Brandon Sanderson or Robert Jordan, Wemby's favorite book series is The Wheel of Time, which I have yet to get into.
Nerd
but
respect.
I hear it's good. So he's got nerd cred. He's a huge Star Wars fan. He doesn't even consider the sequel trilogy as being proper Star Wars movies.
He's an anime guy too. He did an Attack on Titan celebration after winning the Western Conference Finals.
Yep, I saw that video. Deer and Fox is also a really big anime fan, and his Instagram username is Dora the Explorer reference. Swipe it to Fox. We've got Carter Bryant, who grew up in a deaf home and has been an advocate for the deaf community. Or should I say the deaf community? What's the correct thing to say now?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah. So he's brought awareness to the league, which is really great for inclusivity. We love to see as much inclusivity as possible. We've got, Luke Cornett is a lot of fun to watch. Steph Castle, Steph Castle is a second-year player and is phenomenal. He's got
really cool hair too. He's got really cool hair.
I mean, there's a reason him and Devin Vassell with their hair tied up are called the Pineapple Express. A couple of pineapples on the court.
That's good. That's really good.
So it's a fun team to watch. The dynamic between the players is really good. They've got the old Spurs way of ball handling, of just passing the ball around a bunch before you make the shot. Is something that has proven in the past to be a really great way to play offensively, and is just so much fun to watch. It's a fun team, and these guys are all really young. One of the oldest players on the team is Harrison Barnes, who we got from the Sacramento Kings, but was on one of the Warriors championship rosters. And every game that he's played on his birthday, his team has won.
When's his birthday? Tell me it's not in June.
No, his birthday was a few days ago.
Okay, Thank God.
I'll give you two other reasons that rooting for the Spurs is acceptable. Because if it were Knicks, I would have rooted for the Knicks either way. But if it were Knicks Thunder, I would be that much more excited about rooting for the Knicks. I like
everyone
the Spurs
would.
team.
No one likes the Thunder.
They're very fun. I'll give you two other reasons to root for the Spurs if you want to. Number one, Fiesta jerseys. I don't know that we'll see any of them in the finals. I do think that they announced which team is wearing which jersey colors for the first 4 games. But just from a buying merch perspective, I do love the Spurs colorways.
The Fiesta Court thing that they've done with the fan t-shirts is really cool, where it's a full section in teal, a full section in gold, a full section in pink, and they alternate it. It is pretty sweet. Frustratingly awesome.
Right. Number 2 is from the emotional standpoint. I hope I'm wrong about this, but it feels like this could be maybe the last chance for Popovich to see the Spurs win another. I know obviously he's not coaching anymore, but it's been really cool to see him up there with Tim Duncan in the box. There was a really cool shot of like Wemby doing his crazy thing where his arms like drape over the coach in a way that feels impossible, and then like immediately cutting to Tim Duncan with his arm around Greg Popovich. So I think that would be cool for Pop to see this, young team that he kind of started out coaching and then had to walk away. To have that come to fruition, I think would be very cool for him. But the Knicks, I think it's a much easier case to say root for the Knicks just because they haven't been there forever. Like I didn't mind the Thunder winning last year because they hadn't won. So
yeah, I mean the Knicks haven't been there in so long, and the Spurs do have a very fun roster, but the Knicks have such a fun roster too because you've got Josh Hart, big goofball, OG Anunoby, dry humor king, Karl Anthony Towns, just like such a passionate guy from the area. I think much beleaguered by fans with undeserved homophobia, which is so stupid, but he's such a thoughtful guy. Jalen Brunson, just like the classic, like maybe even a little too boring, but the leader you kind of need, and then you've got fun dudes off the bench. Landry Shamet is really fun. Mitchell Robinson is a character. You've got Jordan Clarkson, like you've got our close personal friend Tyler Kolek. There's just a lot of really fun dudes on this team. Deuce McBride is a delight. Like we've just got a really fun locker room. We've got a really fun roster. I think Mike Brown winning a championship would be very cool because he's had this interesting career where he's done well, but not necessarily as the head coach. And he's been fired from some teams and all this other stuff. And people didn't trust him up until this playoff run. So
yeah.
I think it would be cool. I love the way that the Knicks roster has been built by Leon Rose, just putting together these guys, trying to find character guys. Our entire starting five has not been drafted by us. It's all been made through very savvy trades and acquisitions, and that's really cool to see. I am not besmirching the Spurs because this is just how it is done in the NBA, but the reason the Spurs are so good is 3 really good draft picks during seasons where they were tanking. You get Wemby a number 1 pick, Castle a number 2 pick, and Harper a number 2 pick. That's not the Knicks. It's not drafted. Now, we have some guys who were high draft picks, like Karl Anthony Towns was a number 1 overall pick, but we didn't get good just by sucking for a couple of years in a row, intentionally trying to tank. This was like a slow and steady ever since 2020.
Yeah, you guys sucked and then drafted poorly.
Yeah, we sucked, drafted poorly, got like mediocre, and then starting in 2020, it was like, let's build piece by
the Knicks
piece by
were
piece
like,
by piece.
SGA, Kevin Knox for us.
Man.
But it's all worked out.
I feel like for y'all, it took a turn when he got Jalen Brunson. I think
sure,
Jalen Brunson was
that's
the first
the inflection point. Yeah.
Jalen Brunson was the first piece, I think, for the Knicks that really started pointing them in a championship direction, or in at least a deep playoff run direction. A few years ago, I was pretty sure that the Knicks were going to make it to the NBA Finals here pretty soon. I thought y'all were going to make it there before my Spurs did, and I was very happy to be wrong about that. But
we're here at the same time.
Can we talk for a moment about the Jeremy Sohan of it all? How
he's an NBA champion no matter what.
This man gets a ring no matter what. I mean, if anyone's swimming on cloud moon, to reference a past title, it's Jeremy Sohan because he wins no matter what.
Yeah, he wins no matter what, and the Philippines win no matter what because they've got Jordan Clarkson and Dylan Harper both representing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that you've got 2, like, no matter who wins, someone wins situations going on.
I think one thing that's a really cool storyline is like, people have characterized it as David versus Goliath, and part of it is just like the height of it all. But you've got Victor Wembanyama, who is someone who, since he was a 13-year-old, we've been seeing footage of him, and everyone, much like a LeBron, is like, this guy is going to be one of the greatest players ever. He has thus far lived up to that, if not exceeded it. And then you have Brunson, who is a second-round draft pick, who nobody expected a lot from in the league, even once he got to the NBA and played well. When he was signed by the Knicks, it was widely panned. People criticized the move. You can look up any number of, jump cuts of every prognosticator saying like, this is a terrible move. He's not the guy. At best, their ceiling is, second round of the playoffs and then getting bounced. So it's kind of cool to have this. All right, the Spurs are led by this generational talent who we all think is going to run the league for the next 20 years versus a guy who is undersized, who nobody really expected that much of. and now here they are meeting in the same place. Like, I think that's kind of a cool storyline. So with that in mind, what I want from each of you is, if your team wins, who is the MVP of the series? I think most people would expect those two guys, but maybe it's different. And then secondarily, who is a role player who you think will make a huge impact in the series and help your team win? Let's start with Matthew.
Obviously, it's going to be Wemby for MVP.
Yeah.
I think
right.
if anybody thinks anybody other than Wemby, when the Spurs win for MVP, they have not probably ever heard of basketball ever in their lives. As far as role players, I'm thinking it's probably going to be Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson is the respect that I have for that man. So first of all, our name is the Spurs, which is a nod to the cowboy and vaquero culture in San Antonio, and was chosen by a fan vote. Keldon has an actual ranch in the Texas Hill Country, and he plans to stay in San Antonio long term. The vibes that he brings to the team are immaculate. When we drafted him in, I believe, 2020, the idea was to build the team around him. When Wemby came along, Keldon happily stepped aside to take more of a supporting role and come off the bench. And now he's sixth man of the year.
Yeah.
When we got Chris Paul last year, Keldon changed his jersey number to 0, which is a cursed number, out of respect for Chris Paul. And now he's back in number 3. Keldon, from everything that I've seen, has been one of the biggest hype people in the locker room. I mean, he is loud on the court. He is energetic. He's into it. And I believe his vibes have accounted for a lot of our success. So KJ all the way, baby.
I like that. That's a good pick, and it also speaks to his character that he was able to be adaptable and go from like, hey, we're building the team around you, to, hey man, you're great, but look, it's Wemby. Like, we're clearly building the team around him at this point. And I think the Knicks have really exemplified that as well. People who like had a big role, then had a small role and stayed with it. Like Landry Shamet, I think, is a great example of somebody who was essentially out of the rotation, was even told heading into the Eastern Conference Finals, like, hey, the matchups just aren't there. I don't see a lot of minutes for you. Apparently Mike Brown legitimately said, I don't think you're going to play a lot. And then he becomes this huge wild card in the series. So Mike, who do you have as your MVP if the Knicks win? Who do you have as your, kind of unsung hero who steps up?
Mm-hmm. When the Knicks win in 4, I believe that the MVP, I think it's going to be surprising. I mean, obviously Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson, but I think it could be OG Anunoby because it could be a little bit like when Andre Iguodala got Finals MVP for defending LeBron really well. There was a stat that came out recently by Caitlin Cooper. She said that for any player who guarded Wemby over a certain minimum number of possessions to where it's getting rid of outliers, the fewest points per possession was OG against Wemby. So if there is someone to be a Wemby stopper, as much as you can stop someone who's a 7'5" basketball alien, if OG can stop him, that would be huge. And then the other thing is the only kind of counter that you can have to Wemby, since he's so good at defense, is if you just have to drag him out from the court. And that's a fun thing if you are a neutral fan and you haven't watched the Spurs before. Their defense is so funny because 4 people will guard a person man to man, and then Wemby just roams near the basket,
right?
And then swats
just looms.
Yeah, just creepy over everybody. So I think if OG, who has been a pretty good 3-point shooter this playoffs, if he can shoot well from the 3-point line and bring Wemby out, then I think that could be really valuable as well. So I could see him sneakily being the MVP over the more obvious selection of Brunson. For a role player, it's hard to pick anyone not named Landry Shamet, given that he shot, I believe, 11 for 12 in the previous round, which is 93.5%.
Yeah. From 3 or overall?
From 3.
Yeah.
He shot 11 for 12 from 3 in the last round, which studies show is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think similarly, just shooting is going to be our biggest advantage because Wemby is such a threat closer to the basket. So I think Landry could be huge. The other thing is the Spurs have these really solid guards, and Landry I think is a little bit bigger. If there's any spot where I think the Knicks have an advantage in terms of like roster construction, I think our wings are some of our strongest players, like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. And I think if they can be better than the wings on the Spurs, that can go a long way. And that's where kind of Landry falls into off the bench as well.
Yeah.
The other thing real quick that we haven't mentioned that I got to do, because I very intentionally wore my shirt that my dad got me, the 2025 NBA Cup champion shirt for my beloved 2025 NBA Cup champion New York Knicks. Not enough people are talking about how this will be the double cup. If we win, we will win the NBA Cup and the title, making we are like undisputed champions of this season, winning both sets of hardware. And we did defeat the Spurs in the cup. Like, there's not enough talk. Jason Concepcion made this point, which I think is a really good point. The NBA is trying to make the cup a real thing. They should be hyping up so much how this is a repeat of the cup. So clearly the cup works because the two finals teams played in the cup. And then they should be talking so much about how this could be the historic first double to ever happen.
Well,
and they're not hyping it up enough.
During the Western Conference trophy celebration, a mic picked up, I think it was Dylan Harper saying something to the effect of like, we got to get our cup back.
Yeah.
So it's at least on their minds. They're aware of it.
I think the players care, especially the young players care about the cup because everybody won $500,000 or something. And for some people, that's as much, if not more, than what they're making. So I think they should lean into it. But yes, I think just for the silliness of it all, it would be very fun to see the Knicks become the cup champions and the NBA title champions.
Right.
And if we do win, I'll be very obnoxious about that. And if we lose, which we won't, I will just be like, well, we won the cup. So
you'll still be able to wear that shirt just as proudly as you are
I'm
today.
never not wearing that.
Exactly. All right. So we've done some basketball heavy stuff. Let's get back to a little more drama and silliness. We always want to talk about who the courtside celebrities will be. Now, it is no secret that the price for courtside tickets at MSG is enough to buy a home in San Antonio. And I'm not saying that hyperbolically. That is a real thing. I think we all expect the kind of usual suspects to be there. Obviously, Spike Lee will be there. I'm sure Ben Stiller will be there. Chalamet, Tracy Morgan, Fat Joe. We've got all the kind of usual people that we would expect. Who do you see, Mike, as someone who might show up who we wouldn't necessarily have on our radar? I have to address that there has been talk that Donald Trump wants to come to Game 1 at MSG. If it does happen, which would be a security nightmare, but if it does, I hope he enjoys getting booed louder than he's ever been booed before, and that's why the only silver lining.
He won't go because obviously everyone hates him because of what he's been doing in recent history.
He was always hated in New York.
But New York has hated him since the 80s.
Right.
Like, he's hated.
Yeah.
Like, right-wing people hate him. Like, he has no fans here. So I don't think he's going to go because he would get absolutely booed. And also, like, it would be terrible. He can't stay awake. He can't walk. He can't stand. Like, he's going to shit himself. Like, it's just, he's not going to the game. He's saying it, but he's not actually going. The surprise one, if I got to pick, I never would have thought this, but because of what happened with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I could see Taylor Swift showing up. Because she's a Knicks fan. Like, she used to go to Knicks games more frequently. And there's this famous photo that gets tossed around all the time for some sort of promotion where she was wearing a custom Taylor Swift number 13 jersey, and she's posing with Amare and Carmelo Anthony. And there's, like, classic meme things of her drinking Knicks branded beer courtside at like the Knicks Cup and everything. Like, she's been to a handful of games when she was very much in her New York 1989 album era. And because she went to her fiance's game in Cleveland, I could see her being like, all right, now let's go to a real game. And she could potentially do that. So that would be that. If I had to go beyond that, though, like if it's someone like completely just out of the blue.
I think we get a DiCaprio sighting.
Oh, but he's such an LA guy. That's the problem. It's like, do these people who prefer other teams, are they really going to drop the insane amount of money? Because I feel like if the Knicks are going to do the thing where they give the free tickets to the courtside people, it's going to be for the people who've been there all year. All those people that you mentioned. I don't think they're going to like give it away for free. So like, does DiCaprio want to drop $100,000 for it? Which, like, I don't know. He might. He's good for it. So I'm not sure. I'll stick with my Taylor Swift prediction.
All right, Matthew, who I guess fill us in because I don't know this as well. Who
Yeah.
are some of the kind of consistent Spurs courtside fans, if there are any, and then who would you expect to show up that people might not anticipate?
So it's kind of a like a rotation. There's not a lot of celebrities that go to almost every Spurs games, obviously, except for the former players.
Hmm.
When I had season tickets a few years ago, I'd always see David Robinson, a couple rows back. Manu Ginobili would show up a lot, but he never sat courtside. He'd sit in like with the fans. If you didn't know what
That's
Manu
cool.
Ginobili looked like, you just assumed he was another fan, just
Just a tall fan.
just a tall, easygoing guy.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez has been spotted in a Spurs jersey courtside.
Selena. Yes.
George Strait has been spotted at Spurs
Cool.
games, but he's from San Antonio.
Yeah.
He grew up just south of San Antonio in I'm blanking on the name of the town, but it's like just south. I've been there a bunch of
Mhm.
times. Another country singer, Parker McCollum, has showed up to Spurs games and apparently is friends with Jimmy Butler. With
What?
Jimmy Butler's whole "I'm going to do a country album" thing.
Right.
Apparently, Parker McCollum is one he's been working with, and I hope Parker McCollum's not one of the MAGA ones, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. The, the it's a struggle being a fan of country music, but also being very leftist.
Sure.
Willie Nelson, if he shows up to basketball games, would probably be spotted. Eva Longoria probably not anymore since the her thing
Nah,
with
Tony.
Tony Parker was years
Tony.
ago. Here I am
Are they still
living
married?
in the past a little bit.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't think so. Yeah.
Now he cheated on her, didn't he?
yes, he
Mm.
did.
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
but also he was very young, and it doesn't excuse anything like that. But we've all done stupid stuff when we were young. Not cheating stupid, but we've all been stupid.
Nevertheless, I don't think she will be there.
No,
Yeah.
don't expect her.
You might
But
have a better
it's-
chance of seeing Evan Longoria.
Ooh.
So yeah, so we've definitely seen some Houston people show up to Spurs games. I think Paul Wall has made an appearance once or twice. I want to say Fat Joe, um, but yeah, it's hit or miss. You might get the odd
Yeah.
celebrity. Now we've got the Corgi, who could
Go
show
on.
up if they allow pets. The Salesian
There's a celebrity
sisters.
dog.
Yeah, so there are these whole videos on TikTok and on Instagram of this corgi predicting every level of the
Oh,
the
I know what you're talking
NBA
Oh,
about.
that
playoffs.
Yes.
corgi. Yeah.
And this corgi perfectly predicted the Western Conference Finals, like game by
Alright.
game, like shooting a ball into a basket.
And they actually posted this
Perfect
before the series.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. They
Hmm.
posted the video was posted, I think, on the 18th or something like that, and
Interesting.
it was a perfect prediction. And he predicted other series. This corgi predicted other series fairly well as well. So now it's a meme going around Spurs social media, San Antonio social media. Trust in the corgi.
That's funny.
In Corgi we trust.
Okay.
Mike, did you see the comment from Rachel in the chat?
I did not. No. What does it say? Let me pull it up. This would never happen to be funny if Rick Riordan went to a game. No, my gosh. I think Rick would see those prices and not understand.
That's the newest Olympian or the Percy Jackson writer.
Yes, that is. Shout out to, we've got like some divided fans in the chat. Derry Bird saying happy for either team, but leaning Knicks, and Samantha saying as a UConn alum, hoping that Steph does well in the playoffs. So Steph Castle.
As a matter of fact, Paige Beckers, also
Oh,
a
yeah.
UConn alum, and there's a picture of him and Paige Beckers kind of embracing after I think it was Game 7. She came out to the game. So
That's very cool.
I would say Becky Hammond, Paige Beckers, Kelsey Plum would show up, except the WNBA is going on right now, and they are
Right.
very busy with that. And I'm glad to see my Dallas Wings doing much better than last year so far.
Not to mention that I don't know that Becky Hammond would want to show her face around Jalen Brunson after saying that a team with a short guy has never succeeded.
Yeah, she's hated by them, and then she has bad blood with the Spurs because they never really gave her the coaching offer. So I don't think she'll be at either arena for different reasons.
I mean, I personally have bad blood with the Aces because they were the Stars, and then our team got stolen from us and went to Vegas. And so go Wings.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I think this is probably a good place to call it. But Matthew, any final thoughts on the finals? Anything else you'd like to share, or any plugs that you have before we let you go?
Well, first I got to say Spurs rule, Knicks rule.
Sure. Fair.
I mean, if you want to go check out my social media, I'm handlebar.mat on either Instagram or TikTok, and the other one is without the dot. My content is different from this. I do a lot of like style content. I alternate between Western style and kilted style. So if that's the type of thing you like, with some occasional trucking videos or some silly videos, that's also very much not MAGA, because specifically in the Western style space, like MAGA can very much be a thing. I will never associate myself with that ever. But yeah, if that's the kind of thing that you like, then you can go and check my stuff out if you want to.
Awesome.
Or not.
Yeah, we'll share all of that. But thank you again for joining us. It was really fun, and whatever happens, good luck to your Spurs, and the future is extremely bright, regardless of what happens over the next couple of weeks here.
Here's to good flopless basketball.
Yes, ethical basketball. Genuinely,
thank goodness.
As much as I joke, if the Spurs win, I won't be upset because I have some very good friends who are Spurs fans, and I know they will be very happy. So I'm not going to be upset. I would be angry if we lost to a different team, but I don't know. Spurs have some good things going. They are a very likable team, and really, when the finals matchup is between the pants and the shoe accessories, come on, we're all winners. We're all winners,
right? And likewise, if the Knicks end up winning it, which they won't, but if they do, I won't be upset about that because we'll just win all the rest of them.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
Give us this one, and we'll fuck off forever. We just need this one. It'll last us 100 years.
Seriously.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Horse. Horse is hosted by Adam Abawala and Mike Schubert. Our editor for this episode was Mike Schubert. The music is by Bettina Campabanas. The art is by Alison Wakeman. The website is by Aurelia Lieb, and the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Bird, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Doka Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry teaming up with Giannis.
Bang?
Yeah, it's a certainly questionable bang for sure. Chase Underrulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby as a vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs boy, Balls to the Walls, Mats Furley, Utah Jash, and Derry Bird. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Horse Hoops, and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because...
Horse Hoops, it was run by the Thunder mascot, and Rumble the Bison just got ethered by the Coyote.
You can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to all of the stuff we talked about today and much, much more.
And if you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops, where you can get access to our streams of episodes and bonus things that we do. We'll probably do our classic like videos after finals games, things, and other stuff as well. So check that out. And then you can also go to horsehoops.com/merch for some sweet horse digital merch items. But as we always do, we're going to close this episode out by saying something on the count of three.
I think we got to keep it going, right?
We got it. Yeah, we got to say
time.
Knicks and four. Knicks and 4 on 3. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3.
Knicks and 4.
Please. And look, I want Knicks and 4. I'll take Knicks and 5. I'll take Knicks and 6. I'll take Knicks and 7. I'll take they change the rules and it's Knicks and 8 or Knicks and 9. I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes.
best of 82, even though that's not even.
I don't care what happens. Just let us win, please. We deserve it.
I have faith. I really do.
I do too. We can do it. We can do it.
Why not? Why not us? Why not you?
Us? Why not
I'm
us?
not part of the us, but why not you?
Why not us?